I'm grateful you joined tonight. Your brain is reading microsignals right now. Facial warmth, voice tone, body angles, making rapid assessments about safety and trust. You'll discover the invisible language your nervous system speaks before words, and understand why some souls feel safe the moment you appear. Welcome to Sleepy Mind Science. Wherever you are right now, perhaps wondering why certain people draw others close, while you sometimes feel unseen, or sensing that invisible barrier between you and easy connection. Allow yourself this gentle exploration. We'll journey through 100 psychology facts about instant likability. From the 3-second window where impressions form, to mirror neurons firing in silent recognition, to the biochemical signature of trust your body broadcasts without words. This thoughtful journey through connection psychology builds bridges between searching minds. A gentle subscribe, like, or sharing your thoughts creates a pathway for more connection seekers to discover and brings us closer to protect this sanctuary. One sleepy soul at a time. Your journey toward understanding inspires ours. Let yourself settle completely here. Feel your jaw unclench, your breath deepen naturally. You can let these thoughts drift past without holding them. Sense that soothing heaviness enveloping you, like your consciousness slowly dimming its brightness. Thoughts dissolving into peaceful fog of approaching sleep. Safe and undisturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're floating where human warmth meets without words needed. Let your mind merge with gentle belonging. And now we begin. Your brain decides whether someone is trustworthy within 0.3 of a second. According to research published in Psychological Science in 2024, the amygdala, your brain's ancient alarm system, scans faces for threat or safety faster than conscious thought can form. Within 300 milliseconds of seeing someone's face, neural pathways have already categorized them as approachable or dangerous, trustworthy or suspicious. This happens before you notice eye color, before you hear their voice, before any logical assessment begins. The decision draws on pattern recognition built from thousands of past encounters, cultural conditioning, and evolutionary programming designed to protect you from harm. When people instantly like you, they're not making a choice. Their ancient brain is signaling safety, and they're simply following that green light toward connection. The first 3 seconds of any interaction determine how the next 3 hours will unfold. Neuroscience research from 2025 using real-time brain imaging shows that initial impressions create what psychologists call a perceptual tunnel. Once formed, your brain actively filters information to confirm that first judgment. If someone's initial scan reads you as warm, they'll notice your smile and overlook your nervousness. If their first impression codes you as cold, they'll see that same nervousness as standoffish behavior and miss your warmth entirely. This isn't conscious bias. It's automatic pattern completion. Your brain, trying to conserve energy, essentially decides the story in the opening frame and then selects evidence that supports that narrative. First impressions aren't everything, but they create the lens through which everything else is seen. People who are instantly liked share a specific cluster of nonverbal signals that bypass conscious awareness entirely. A 2024 study from Princeton's Social Neuroscience Lab identified what researchers call the warmth triad open body orientation, genuine facial responsiveness, and synchronized micro-movements. Open body orientation means your torso faces the other person. Your arms remain uncrossed, and your posture suggests receptivity rather than defense. Genuine facial responsiveness describes how your face naturally mirrors emotional content. Your eyebrows lift in sympathy. Your eyes crinkle with shared joy. Your mouth reflects concern. Synchronized micro-movements are the tiny postural adjustments humans make unconsciously when feeling safe. Leaning slightly forward, tilting the head, matching breathing rhythm. Together, these three signals tell another person's nervous system, I am not a threat. I see you. I am present with you. Your voice carries more emotional information than your words, and people's bodies respond to vocal tone before their minds process meaning. Research from MIT's Media Lab, published in early 2025, demonstrates that vocal prosody, the melody, rhythm, and texture of speech, activates the listener's limbic system within 50 milliseconds, while semantic content reaches conscious processing centers 200 to 300 milliseconds later. This means someone feels whether you're safe or threatening a quarter second before understanding what you actually said. Voices perceived as warm tend to have moderate pitch variation, slower speaking rates, and what linguists call forward resonance, sound that comes from the chest and mouth rather than nasal passages. When people instantly like you, they're often responding to a voice that unconsciously signals calm, presence, and emotional stability. Your nervous system is speaking directly to theirs. Genuine smiles activate entirely different facial muscles than forced ones, and human brains can detect the difference in 170 milliseconds. The distinction lies in what's called the Duchenne smile, named after French neurologist Guillaume Duchenne, who discovered in the 1860s that authentic joy contracts both the zygomatic major muscle, which lifts the corners of the mouth, and the orbicularis oculi, which creates crow's feet around the eyes. Recent eye-tracking research from 2024 shows that when viewing faces, people unconsciously fixate on the eye region first and can identify genuine versus polite smiles faster than they can identify facial identity. A real smile releases oxytocin in both the smiler and the person being smiled at, a neurochemical bonding loop that happens beneath awareness. When you smile genuinely, you're offering biochemical evidence of safety, and people's bodies respond with approach behavior before their minds make any conscious decision about whether they like you. The pupils of your eyes dilate slightly when you look at someone you find interesting, trustworthy, or attractive, and other people's brains unconsciously detect this micro-expansion. Studies using high-speed cameras and eye-tracking technology, published in Cognitive Neuroscience Journal in 2025, reveal that pupil dilation acts as an honest signal of interest because it cannot be consciously controlled. When you're genuinely engaged with someone, your pupils expand by 0.5 to 1 millimeter, and the person you're speaking with processes this change through their peripheral visual system without ever consciously noticing it. Their brain interprets dilated pupils as a sign of attentiveness and positive regard. People who are instantly liked often have what researchers call high pupillary responsiveness. Their eyes physically demonstrate engagement, and others feel seen in a way that activates deep social bonding mechanisms. Your physical proximity to someone changes their biochemistry within seconds, and the distance you maintain communicates volumes about your intentions. Cultural anthropologist Edward T. Hall's proxemic theory, now supported by decades of neuroscience research, identifies 4 distance zones: intimate, 0 to 18 inches; personal, 18 inches to 4 feet; social, 4 to 12 feet; and public, beyond 12 feet. A 2024 study using continuous cortisol monitoring showed that when strangers enter personal space too quickly, stress hormones spike within 3 to 5 seconds. But people who are instantly liked demonstrate what researchers call distance calibration. They unconsciously adjust their proximity based on subtle comfort cues from the other person. They step slightly closer when seeing relaxation signals, maintain distance when sensing tension, and never force intimacy. This dance happens beneath conscious awareness, and it makes others feel respected and safe. Touch, even brief and incidental, can increase trust and likability by up to 40%, but only if it's contextually appropriate and culturally sensitive. Research from the Touch and Emotion Lab at DePaul University, published in 2025, examined thousands of social interactions and found that light, brief touches, a hand on the forearm lasting 1 to 2 seconds, a pat on the shoulder, incidental contact while passing an object, triggered oxytocin release and increased positive perception of the toucher. However, the effect completely reversed when touch violated social norms or personal boundaries. People who are naturally likable possess extraordinary touch calibration. They sense when a brief touch will bond and when it will repel. Their nervous systems read micro-expressions and postural cues at speeds faster than thought, adjusting behavior in real time. The result feels like effortless charm, but it's actually sophisticated social attunement. Your breathing pattern influences how others feel in your presence, and people unconsciously synchronize their breath with those they trust. A groundbreaking 2024 study from Stanford's Social Neuroscience Lab using wearable sensors discovered that when 2 people feel safe together, their respiratory rates align within 90 seconds, usually settling at 12 to 16 breaths per minute. This synchronized breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system in both individuals, creating a shared state of calm. People who are instantly liked tend to have naturally slower, deeper breathing patterns, roughly 8 to 12 breaths per minute compared to the stressed average of 16 to 20. Their calm breathing acts as a biological invitation, and others' bodies automatically match that rhythm, experiencing unexplained relaxation in their presence. You're not just meeting someone, you're sharing breath, sharing calm, sharing a nervous system state. The speed at which you move your body sends powerful signals about your internal state and influences how approachable others perceive you to be. Kinesiological research, published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior in 2025, found that people rated as highly likable moved with what researchers call optimal tempo, neither frenetically fast nor sluggishly slow, but with a deliberate, flowing quality at a moderate pace. Rapid movements activate threat detection systems in observers' brains, triggering subtle defensive responses. Very slow movements can read as depressive or suspicious, but moderate-paced, flied motion, walking calmly, gesturing smoothly, reaching without rushing, creates the impression of someone who feels safe in their environment. And when you feel safe, others unconsciously categorize you as safe to approach. Eye contact duration follows an invisible optimal range. Too brief signals disinterest or anxiety. Too prolonged feels aggressive or invasive. Research from the University of London's Visual Cognition Lab in 2024 used virtual reality scenarios to determine that comfortable eye contact lasts 3.2 seconds on average during conversation, with natural breaks every 7 to 10 seconds. People who are instantly liked maintain what psychologists call soft eyes. They make eye contact that feels present but not invasive, breaking gaze naturally by looking down or to the side rather than away abruptly. Their eye contact rhythm matches the natural flow of conversation, intensifying during important moments and softening during pauses. The message their gaze sends is clear: I see you, I'm with you, and you're safe here. Your vocal volume automatically adjusts based on intimacy and trust, and people unconsciously interpret these volume shifts as indicators of connection. Acoustic analysis research from 2025 reveals that as conversations deepen and trust builds, both parties gradually lower their volume by 3 to 5 decibels over 15 to 20 minutes. This volume reduction isn't deliberate. It's an automatic physiological response to increasing psychological safety. People who are instantly liked often begin interactions at a slightly lower volume than social norms dictate, subtly inviting others into a more intimate, acoustic space. This doesn't mean whispering or speaking so quietly that others strain to hear. It means speaking at a volume that suggests what we're sharing here matters. This is between us. The listener's brain interprets this as a gesture of trust. And trust, once offered, tends to be reciprocated. Your hands tell stories your words never mention, and people read these stories constantly without conscious awareness. A comprehensive 2024 study analyzing video footage of thousands of first meetings found that people rated as highly likable used their hands in specific ways, palms visible rather than hidden. Gestures that stayed within their torso frame, rather than expanding aggressively into others' space. And hand movements that matched verbal emphasis naturally. Hidden hands, in pockets, crossed, or held behind the back, triggered subtle distrust. Likely because throughout evolutionary history, hidden hands might conceal weapons or hostile intentions. Open, visible hands that gesture gently signal transparency and peaceful intent. People who are instantly liked aren't necessarily more animated with their hands. They're simply more visible, allowing others' ancient brains to categorize them as non-threatening based on what they can clearly see. The direction your feet point reveals where your attention and intention actually lie, and people unconsciously use this information to gauge genuine interest. Body language research from 2025, involving hidden cameras and post-interaction surveys, discovered that foot orientation predicted perceived interest far more accurately than face orientation. When someone's feet point toward you during conversation, listeners rated the interaction as more engaging and the speaker as more likable, even when their torso or face occasionally turned away. When feet pointed away, toward exits, other people, or elsewhere, perceived engagement dropped significantly. People who are instantly liked demonstrate consistent foot-to-face alignment. Their whole body participates in the interaction. This full-body presence communicates something powerful right now. In this moment, you have my complete attention. There is nowhere else I'd rather be. Your facial expressiveness, how much your face moves and responds during conversation, strongly influences how trustworthy and likable others perceive you to be. Facial analysis software studies from 2024 tracked micro-expressions during social interactions and found that faces rated as most likable displayed 40 to 60 distinct expressions per minute, while faces perceived as cold or untrustworthy showed fewer than 20. This doesn't mean exaggerated or theatrical expressions. It means natural, responsive micro-movements that mirror the emotional content of conversation. When someone shares something sad, highly likable people's faces unconsciously reflect concern. When hearing something funny, their expressions brighten. This facial responsiveness signals emotional attunement and empathy. It tells the other person, I'm not just hearing your words, I'm feeling with you and being felt. Even more than being understood, creates the foundation for instant connection and trust. The quality of your attention, whether you're genuinely present or mentally elsewhere, shows up in subtle behavioral markers that others detect unconsciously. Neuroscience research using fMRI scans published in early 2025 identified a cluster of micro-expressions associated with authentic attention. Pupils remain stable rather than wandering. Blink rate decreases slightly. Head position remains steady. And small postural adjustments occur every 20 to 30 seconds. When attention drifts, these markers change within 2 to 3 seconds. Pupils begin micro-scanning the environment. Blink rate increases. Head position shifts more frequently. And the body becomes either too still, frozen in politeness, or too restless. People who are instantly liked possess what researchers call high-fidelity presence. Their attention genuinely rests on the person before them, and their bodies broadcast this truth through hundreds of small, honest signals. Your emotional contagion patterns, how quickly and deeply you absorb and reflect others' emotional states, significantly impact how comfortable people feel around you. A 2024 study on emotional attunement measured physiological synchrony between conversation partners and found that people rated as most likable showed moderate emotional contagion. They responded to others' emotions within 1 to 2 seconds, but maintained their own emotional baseline. They didn't become overwhelmed by another's anxiety or sadness. They resonated with it while staying anchored in calm. This created a subtle but powerful effect. The other person felt understood without feeling like they were burdening someone, and they unconsciously began moving toward the likable person's calmer emotional state. Emotional contagion works both ways, and people who are instantly liked are often those who help others feel better simply by being near them. Your response latency. How quickly you respond to what someone says communicates respect and processing depth. Conversation analysis research from 2025, using precise audio timing, found that responses beginning less than 0.5 seconds after someone finishes speaking feel rushed or dismissive, while delays longer than 2 seconds create awkward uncertainty. The optimal response latency for likability falls between 0.7 and 1.5 seconds, long enough to signal that you've actually absorbed what was said, short enough to maintain conversational flow. People who are instantly liked demonstrate what researchers call thoughtful immediacy. They pause just long enough to show they've heard and considered, then respond with presence. This tiny delay communicates something profound. What you just said mattered enough for me to let it land before replying. The degree to which you ask follow-up questions versus redirecting conversation to yourself predicts likability with remarkable accuracy. Harvard Business School research, published in 2024, analyzed thousands of conversations and found that people rated as most likable asked follow-up questions at a rate of 9 to 15 per 10-minute conversation, while those rated as less likable asked 2 to 4. Follow-up questions signal genuine curiosity and investment. What happened next? How did that make you feel? What did you decide to do? Each question invites the speaker to go deeper, offering them the rare gift of sustained attention. People who are instantly liked aren't necessarily great storytellers themselves. They're often exceptional question askers, creating space for others to feel heard, valued, and understood. Perhaps the deepest human need, your postural openness, the degree to which your body remains undefended and receptive, influences others' willingness to approach and trust you. Biomechanical studies from 2025 using motion capture technology identified certain postural patterns associated with high likability: shoulders relaxed rather than raised toward ears, chest open rather than collapsed, weight balanced evenly rather than shifted defensively to one side. These open postures require feeling safe. They're impossible to maintain authentically when anxious or threatened. People who are instantly liked often have what researchers call embodied safety. Their bodies have learned to remain open because their nervous systems have developed secure attachment patterns and emotional regulation. Others' mirror neurons detect this embodied safety and respond by lowering their own defenses. Trust begets trust. Openness begets openness. All happening in the silent language of bodies. The emotional tone you bring into a space, what psychologists call your affective presence, influences how others feel long after you've left. Ohio State University research from 2024 tracking long-term social networks discovered that people with positive affective presence, those who consistently make others feel energized, calm, or uplifted, develop larger, more stable social networks over time. This isn't about forced positivity or performed cheerfulness. It's about emotional authenticity combined with baseline calm. People who are instantly liked often carry what researchers describe as grounded positivity. They acknowledge difficulty while maintaining hope, validate pain while embodying resilience. In their presence, problems don't disappear, but they feel more manageable. And people gravitate toward those who make their burdens feel lighter. Your ability to hold space for silence, allowing conversational pauses without rushing to fill them, demonstrates confidence and creates intimacy. Sociolinguistic research published in 2025 examined comfortable versus uncomfortable silences and found that people rated as highly likable tolerated silence 50% longer than those perceived as anxious or less likable, averaging 4 to 7 seconds before speaking, compared to 1 to 2 seconds. These pauses weren't empty. They were filled with maintained eye contact, gentle facial expressions, and continued body orientation toward the other person. The message these comfortable silences send is powerful. I'm not afraid of quiet. I'm not performing for you. I can simply be here with you. No words needed. In a culture addicted to noise and constant stimulation, the ability to rest in silence together feels sacred. Your default facial expression, what your face looks like when you think no one is watching. Influences strangers' initial impressions more than how you look when consciously presenting yourself. Research analyzing neutral facial expressions in natural settings, published in 2024, captured people's resting faces and correlated these with approach behavior from strangers. Faces with slight upturns at the mouth corners, relaxed eye regions, and open brows, what researchers call resting approachable face, received more unsolicited smiles, greetings, and assistance requests. Faces with downturned mouth corners, tight jaw muscles, or furrowed brows, even when the person felt neutral, not upset, were given wider berth. People who are instantly liked often have unconsciously trained their resting faces through years of generally positive experiences and secure attachment, their neutral expression reflecting an internal state of basic safety and openness to the world. Your authentic vulnerability, the carefully calibrated sharing of imperfection or struggle, creates connection far more effectively than curated perfection. A comprehensive 2025 study on self-disclosure analyzed which types of personal sharing increased likability and found that moderate vulnerability, acknowledging a challenge, admitting uncertainty, or sharing a humanizing flaw, increased trust and warmth ratings significantly in controlled studies. However, immediate oversharing of intense trauma or dysfunction decreased likability, likely because it overwhelmed the listener or violated social norms around appropriate pacing. People who are instantly liked possess sophisticated vulnerability calibration. They share enough imperfection to seem human and relatable, but maintain enough boundary to feel safe and stable. They invite connection through strategic authenticity, showing just enough shadow that others feel permission to be imperfect too. The consistency between your verbal and non-verbal communication, what psychologists call congruence, determines whether others perceive you as trustworthy and authentic. A 2024 meta-analysis examining thousands of social interactions found that when verbal and non-verbal signals mismatched, saying, "I'm fine with a tense body," claiming interest with disengaged eyes, listeners overwhelmingly trusted the non-verbal channel, and likability ratings dropped substantially. The human brain evolved to detect dishonesty as a survival mechanism, and modern neuroscience confirms we're remarkably skilled at spotting incongruence. People who are instantly liked demonstrate high congruence. Their words, tone, facial expressions, and body language all tell the same story. This alignment doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. When you say you're nervous and your hands shake slightly, people trust you. When you claim calm but your jaw clenches, they pull away, even without knowing why. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each tiny cell inside you. Trillions of organisms working in silence, heart beating, lungs breathing, brain thinking, all without your command. All guided by ancient wisdom. Notice the gentle sensations on your skin, in your muscles, along your spine, the weight of your head resting, the temperature of air moving through your nostrils. You are a complete ecosystem, diverse, self-balancing, alive in ways you forget when thinking only of being liked or likable. Right now, you are already whole. Now we continue. Mirror neurons fire in your brain when you watch someone else perform an action or express an emotion, creating a neural simulation of their experience within your own nervous system. Discovered in the 1990s and extensively mapped through 2025 research, mirror neurons form the biological basis of empathy. You don't just see someone smile. Your motor cortex activates the smile pattern. You don't just observe someone reach for coffee. Your reaching circuits simulate the motion. People who are instantly liked have highly active mirror neuron systems. According to fMRI studies, they unconsciously mimic others' postures, facial expressions, and gestures within 1 to 2 seconds, creating a sense of being seen and understood. This neural mirroring happens automatically, beneath awareness, building invisible bonds through shared neural firing patterns. Your capacity for attunement, sensing and responding to subtle emotional shifts in others, relies on interoception, your brain's ability to read signals from your own body. Recent research links strong interoceptive awareness with social sensitivity. People who accurately perceive their own heartbeat, breathing, and gut feelings also tend to read others' emotional states more accurately. A 2025 study found that individuals rated as highly likable scored significantly higher on interoceptive accuracy tests. They felt their feelings clearly, which allowed them to recognize similar patterns in others. Being liked isn't about ignoring your internal experience. It's about being so attuned to it that you naturally extend that same quality of attention outward to others. The speed at which you recognize and name emotions, both your own and others, influences how safe people feel in your presence. Emotional granularity research from 2024 shows that people who distinguish between nuanced feelings, who can tell the difference between anxious and overwhelmed, between sad and disappointed, between content and joyful, create more satisfying relationships. They respond with precision rather than generic reassurance. When someone who is instantly liked asks, "Are you okay?" they actually mean it, and they're prepared to hear the real answer. Their emotional vocabulary gives others permission to be specific, to be complex, to be honestly struggling rather than performing fine. Emotional precision creates emotional safety. Your attachment style, formed in early childhood, based on how reliably your caregivers responded to your needs, influences your adult likability through unconscious behavioral patterns. Attachment research, published in 2025 using longitudinal data, found that securely attached adults, estimated at roughly 50 to 60% in Western populations, demonstrate consistent warmth, appropriate boundaries, and comfort with both intimacy and autonomy. They're rated as more likable across contexts because their nervous systems learn that people are generally safe and connection is generally rewarding. Anxiously or avoidantly attached individuals can absolutely be liked and can develop earned security through therapy or corrective relationships. But they must work consciously to override inherited patterns that push people away or cling too tightly. Your childhood wrote code. Adulthood offers debugging. The degree to which you can maintain your authentic self across different contexts, remaining relatively consistent whether with family, friends, colleagues, or strangers, correlates strongly with trustworthiness and likability. A 2024 study on social identity found that people who dramatically shift their personality based on context are perceived as less genuine. even when each version is situationally appropriate. This doesn't mean ignoring social norms. It means having a stable core self that adapts without fundamentally changing. People who are instantly liked carry their essence across contexts. Their values remain consistent. Their emotional baseline stays recognizable. Their communication style adapts in degree but not in kind. They feel like the same person in different clothes, rather than different people wearing the same face. Your stress response style, how you behave when overwhelmed, frightened, or angry, significantly impacts long-term likability and relationship stability. Research from 2025 examining conflict interactions found that people who maintain relative calm during stress, who can articulate needs without attacking, who take responsibility for their part in problems, maintain higher likability ratings even during disagreements. This isn't about suppressing emotion. Emotional suppression actually decreases likability. It's about emotional regulation, feeling intensely while behaving thoughtfully. People who are consistently liked have usually developed this capacity through intentional practice, therapy, or hard-won experience. They've learned that how you handle your worst moments often matters more than how you shine in your best ones. The specificity of your compliments and praise determines whether they land as authentic appreciation or empty flattery. Psychological research published in 2024 found that generic compliments, "You're amazing," "Great job," produced minimal emotional response and sometimes triggered suspicion about manipulative intent. Specific, observational compliments. The way you listened when she was upset showed real compassion, or your presentation structure made complex ideas clear, produced strong positive responses, and significantly increased likability ratings in controlled studies. Specific praise requires actually paying attention, actually noticing, actually seeing the person beyond surface level. People who are instantly liked are often those who see others accurately and reflect back what they see with specificity. Being seen specifically might be the deepest form of acknowledgement humans can offer each other. Your apology style, how you take responsibility when you've caused harm, powerfully influences whether relationships repair or rupture. Research from 2025, analyzing thousands of apologies, identified components of effective ones, acknowledging the specific harm caused, taking responsibility without defensiveness, expressing genuine remorse, and offering concrete repair actions. Half apologies. "I'm sorry you felt that way. I'm sorry, but you also," not only fail to repair but often deepen damage. People who are consistently liked demonstrate what researchers call clean apologizing. They can admit fault without collapsing into shame, can acknowledge impact without justifying intention. They understand that being wrong sometimes doesn't make you bad always. And this understanding allows genuine repair and maintained trust. Your ability to celebrate others' success without comparison. Competition or diminishment reveals emotional security that others find magnetic. A 2024 study on positive social responses found that people who genuinely celebrated friends' achievements, showing excitement, asking detailed questions, wanting to hear the full story, were rated as significantly more likable than those who offered brief congratulations before redirecting to their own experiences. Genuine celebration requires what researchers call non-rivalrous joy, the capacity to feel happy about someone else's good fortune without feeling diminished by it. This comes from internal abundance rather than scarcity thinking. People who are instantly liked often possess this quality. Your win doesn't threaten them. Your joy doesn't trigger their envy. Your light doesn't dim theirs. There's enough success, enough love, enough goodness to go around. The emotional labor you're willing to invest in maintaining relationships, remembering details, following up on mentioned events, checking in during difficult times, directly correlates with how valued and liked you are within social networks. Relationship maintenance research from 2025 tracked friendship stability over 5 years and found that small, consistent gestures, texting after a job interview, remembering a pet's name, asking about a sick family member, predicted relationship longevity better than grand gestures or initial chemistry. People who are consistently liked are often those who show up reliably in small ways. They don't necessarily throw the best parties or give the most expensive gifts. They remember what matters to you, and they demonstrate through tiny actions that you matter to them. Your capacity for healthy boundaries, knowing when to say no, protecting your time and energy, actually increases rather than decreases likability among secure individuals. Boundary research published in 2024 found that people with clear, kind boundaries were rated as more trustworthy and stable than people pleasers who said yes to everything. Clear boundaries signal self-respect, which suggests you'll also respect others' boundaries. They create safety through predictability. People know where they stand with you. Paradoxically, boundaryless people, desperate to be liked through constant accommodation, often inspire anxiety rather than affection. People who are genuinely liked have usually learned this counterintuitive truth. Saying no honestly is often more connecting than saying yes resentfully. Authenticity trumps agreement. Your emotional availability, the degree to which you're present and responsive when others reach out, matters more than your objective availability or busyness. A 2025 study tracked response patterns in close relationships and found that people who responded quickly but distractedly were rated as less emotionally available than those who responded slower but with full attention. When a person who is instantly liked finally replies after several hours, their response typically demonstrates they actually absorbed what was shared. They reference specific details, ask relevant question, offer thoughtful perspective. They were present when they engaged, even if that engagement was delayed. Quality of attention consistently outweighs speed of response. People remember how you made them feel, not how quickly you texted back. Your ability to hold paradoxes, acknowledging that two seemingly opposite things can be simultaneously true, allows for nuanced conversations that deepen connection. Research from 2024 on cognitive complexity found that people comfortable with paradox had richer, more satisfying relationships. They could hold "I love you" and "I'm angry." This is difficult, and it's worth doing. You're hurting me, and I understand why you're scared. Rigid either-or thinking creates ultimatums. Paradoxical thinking creates space. People who are instantly liked often possess this both-and capacity. They don't need to flatten complexity into false simplicity. They can sit with contradiction, which allows others to exist in their full, contradictory humanity without needing to be resolved or fixed. The degree to which you're affected by others' opinions of you, neither defensive and rigid nor overly accommodating and shape-shifting, influences long-term likability. Social psychology research from 2025 identified what they call optimal interpersonal flexibility being genuinely interested in others' perspectives while maintaining a stable sense of self. Defensively rejecting all feedback reads as arrogant. Frantically adapting to every preference reads as unstable. The middle path, considering feedback without being controlled by it, signals healthy self-esteem. People who are consistently liked can hear criticism without collapsing or counter-attacking. They can receive compliments without deflecting or inflating. They're not performing for approval. They're being themselves and allowing others' perceptions to inform without dictating. So yes, by this point in our journey, you're beginning to see that instant likability isn't about surface charm or manipulation. It's about nervous system regulation, emotional intelligence, and genuine presence. The research reveals that people drawn to you quickly are responding to hundreds of microsignals that broadcast safety, attunement, and authentic engagement. These signals can't be faked long-term because they arise from actual internal states, but they can be developed. Secure attachment can be earned. Emotional regulation can be learned. Presence can be practiced. The most encouraging finding from these studies isn't that some people are naturally likable. It's that the qualities that create instant connection are skills that can be cultivated by anyone willing to do the internal work of becoming securely, authentically themselves. You're still here with me. Thoughts still exploring the invisible threads that connect humans. Just notice where your mind is right now. Not judging, just noticing. We're examining consciousness itself. How humans recognize safety in each other. How trust forms in 3 seconds. How presence speaks louder than words. Take a slow breath. Feel yourself settling deeper. We're exploring what makes souls recognize kindred spirits together. And we'll keep going. Slowly. Let's continue. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, floods both people's systems during positive social interaction, creating a biochemical feedback loop that reinforces connection. Research from 2025 measuring oxytocin levels during first meetings found that mutual oxytocin release predicted which pairs would become friends 6 months later. The hormone doesn't just make you feel warm towards someone. It actually enhances your ability to read their facial expressions accurately, increases trust, and reduces social anxiety. People who are instantly liked may have naturally responsive oxytocin systems, or they may unconsciously engage in behaviors that trigger oxytocin in others' warm eye contact, genuine smiling, light, appropriate touch, attentive listening. They're not just likable, they're biochemically bonding. Your baseline cortisol levels, the stress hormone that rises with chronic worry or threat, influence how others' nervous systems respond to your presence. A 2024 study using cortisol sampling found that people with chronically elevated cortisol were rated as less approachable, even when trying to appear friendly. High cortisol creates subtle tension in facial muscles, pitch variations in voice, and postural rigidity, all of which others' nervous systems detect as potential danger. People who are instantly liked tend to have better stress regulation systems, often developed through meditation, therapy, exercise, or secure relationships. Their calm isn't performed, it's physiological, and physiology is contagious. When you're regulated, you help others regulate simply by being near them. Dopamine release in social interactions creates the reward signal that makes people want to be around you again. Neuroscience research published in 2025 found that conversations rated as particularly engaging triggered dopamine spikes in both participants' brains. Similar to the neurochemical reward from eating chocolate or achieving a goal. What triggers social dopamine novelty? Laughter, learning something surprising, feeling understood, and collaborative problem-solving. People who are instantly liked often excel at creating these dopamine moments. They share interesting perspectives, make others laugh, validate feelings, or help solve problems. They make social interaction feel rewarding at a neurochemical level. Your brain wants more of what feels good, and they feel good to be around. Serotonin levels, which influence mood stability and social confidence, affect both your behavior and others' responses to you. Research from 2024 examining serotonin and social functioning found that people with optimal serotonin levels demonstrated more consistent emotional tones, recovered from social stress more quickly, and were rated as more likable. Low serotonin correlates with irritability, social withdrawal, and pessimism, traits that push others away. People who are consistently liked often have well-regulated serotonin systems, sometimes naturally, sometimes through medication, diet, exercise, or sunlight exposure. Taking care of your brain chemistry isn't shallow or superficial. It's recognizing that connection happens body to body, nervous system to nervous system, not just mind to mind. The vagus nerve, running from your brainstem to your gut, plays a crucial role in social engagement and how safe others feel around you. Polyvagal theory, developed by Dr. Stephen Porges and supported by growing research through 2025, describes how vagal tone influences facial expressions, vocal prosody, and the ability to make eye contact, all key to likability. People with high vagal tone can maintain social engagement, even under mild stress. Those with low vagal tone may appear flat or withdrawn. Vagal tone can be strengthened through breathing exercises, meditation, singing, and cold exposure. Improving your vagus nerve function literally improves your capacity for connection. Your personal scent, largely determined by genetics and health status, influences attraction and compatibility more than most people realize. Olfactory research from 2024 found that people rate others as more likable when their major histocompatibility complex, or MHC genes, which help the immune system recognize threats, differ significantly from their own. Scent carries this genetic information, and noses detect it unconsciously. You can't control your MHC genes, but you can optimize your natural scent through health, hygiene, and stress management. People who are instantly liked don't necessarily smell obviously good or bad. They smell genetically compatible to certain individuals, triggering unconscious positive responses. Chemistry isn't just metaphorical. It's literally biochemical compatibility detected through scent. Endorphins released during laughter, shared physical activity, or rhythmic movement together create what researchers call collective effervescence, a sense of group bonding and elevated mood. A 2025 study on social endorphin release found that activities producing synchronized endorphin spikes, such as dancing, singing, or exercising together, dramatically accelerated friendship formation and deepened existing bonds. People who are naturally likable often facilitate these shared endorphin experiences. They suggest walks while talking, propose group activities, make others laugh. They intuitively understand that bonding happens more easily when bodies move or laugh together. Connection isn't just emotional or intellectual. It's chemical, triggered by shared physical and emotional experiences that flood everyone's systems with feel-good neurochemicals. Your skin conductance level, a measure of autonomic nervous system arousal detected through sweat gland activity, synchronizes between people during meaningful conversation. Research published in 2024 using wireless sensors found that conversation partners' skin conductance patterns aligned within 3 to 5 minutes when feeling connected, remaining desynchronized when interaction felt awkward or forced. This physiological synchrony happens completely outside awareness. Yet both parties report feeling more connected when it occurs. People who are instantly liked may facilitate this synchrony more quickly through their own regulated nervous systems. When you're calm and present, others' bodies entrain to yours, creating that inexplicable feeling of clicking with someone. A metaphor that's actually describing literal physiological alignment, the ratio of positive to negative interactions in relationships, what researcher John Gottman calls the magic ratio, predicts relationship satisfaction and stability with remarkable accuracy. Gottman's research, refined through 2025 studies, found that the optimal ratio is approximately 5-to-1 in healthy relationships. 5 positive interactions for every negative one. People who are consistently liked maintain this ratio naturally, often without thinking about it. They notice and comment on small positives frequently, express appreciation regularly, offer support generously. When conflict occurs, it's buffered by an extensive history of positive experiences. They're building emotional bank accounts, making deposits far more often than withdrawals, creating relationships where occasional negativity doesn't threaten the overall bond. Halfway through our journey together, the pattern becomes clear. Likability isn't about techniques or manipulation. It's about the state of your nervous system and how that state affects others. The research consistently shows that people are instantly drawn to those whose bodies signal safety, whose chemistry promotes bonding, whose presence reduces threat. This happens largely beneath conscious awareness, in the ancient brain structures that evolved to keep us alive by quickly categorizing others as safe or dangerous. When people instantly like you, they're not making a rational choice. Their bodies have already decided you're someone to approach rather than avoid. And your body made that case through 1,000 tiny signals: breath, heartbeat, facial warmth, genuine presence. Biochemistry speaks to biochemistry, nervous system to nervous system. Take a deep breath and let each exhale remind you, time is yours. A stream that only you are living right now. While billions of humans exist simultaneously across this planet, each experiencing their own present moment, this second, this precise second where you're breathing, listening, resting, belongs only to you. No one else is living your now. The past is memory, stored in neural patterns. The future is imagination, constructed from past patterns. But this present moment is the only moment you actually inhabit. And in this moment, you don't need to be liked. You don't need to be anything except exactly what you are right now, a consciousness, aware of itself, floating in time. Cherish this present moment, knowing that right now, your existence is unique in all the universe, and we continue drifting. Trust builds through consistency over time. Repeated experiences where someone proves reliable, honest, and safe. Yet first impressions create a trust baseline that subsequent interactions either confirm or contradict. A 2025 longitudinal study tracking new relationships found that initial trust judgments influenced relationship trajectories for months afterward. People who are instantly trusted start with an advantage. Others interpret ambiguous behaviors more generously, forgive mistakes more readily, and invest more effort in maintaining connection. But initial trust can be destroyed quickly through inconsistency or betrayal. Being instantly liked opens doors. Being consistently trustworthy keeps them open. First impressions matter, but only character determines whether connection deepens or dissolves. Psychological safety, feeling that you can be yourself, make mistakes, express disagreement without fear of humiliation or rejection, forms the foundation of meaningful connection. Research from Google's Project Aristotle, studying team effectiveness through 2024, found psychological safety was the most important predictor of high-functioning groups. People who create psychological safety don't necessarily agree with everyone. They demonstrate that disagreement won't end the relationship. They respond to mistakes with curiosity rather than judgment, to vulnerability with compassion rather than exploitation. In their presence, others' nervous systems can shift from self-protection to authentic expression. When you feel safe enough to be real, connection becomes possible. Reciprocity in self-disclosure creates intimacy gradually. Sharing that matches vulnerability level and pacing prevents overwhelming either person. A 2024 study analyzing thousands of conversations found that likable people demonstrated exquisite reciprocity calibration when someone shared something moderately personal. They responded with similar vulnerability rather than deflecting or dramatically oversharing. This creates a gentle escalation where both parties feel equally invested and exposed. Intimacy without matching vulnerability creates power imbalance. Matched vulnerability creates the conditions for genuine friendship. People who are consistently liked seem to understand this. Intuitively pace your sharing to match the other person's comfort, never forcing deeper than they're ready to go. Your capacity to repair after rupture, the inevitable conflicts, misunderstandings, or hurt feelings that occur in all relationships, determines which connections survive long-term. Rupture repair research, published in 2025, found that relationships where repairs happened within 24 to 48 hours were significantly more likely to deepen rather than end. Quick repair doesn't mean conflict avoidance. It means addressing damage promptly rather than letting resentment calcify. People who are liked over time possess repair skills. They can initiate difficult conversations without attacking, admit when they're wrong without collapsing, listen without defensiveness. They understand that conflict is inevitable. Abandonment is optional. Repair transforms rupture from relationship ending to relationship deepening. Empathy, accuracy. Correctly inferring what someone else is thinking or feeling improves with attention and practice, but varies significantly between individuals. A 2024 meta-analysis found that people rated as highly likable scored significantly better on empathy accuracy tests than average. They simply read others better. picking up subtle cues about emotional states and adjusting their behavior accordingly. Some of this is genetic temperament. Much is learned skill. Empathy can be developed through mindful observation, asking clarifying questions, and checking your assumptions instead of trusting them. High empathy accuracy makes you responsive rather than self-focused, a quality others find magnetic because everyone wants to feel understood. Emotional validation, acknowledging someone's feelings without necessarily agreeing with their interpretation, meets a profound human need. Research from 2025 examining therapeutic relationships found that validation alone produced measurable decreases in emotional distress within minutes. Simple phrases like that sounds really hard. I can see why you'd feel that way. Or that makes sense given what you've been through. Communicate your feelings are real and legitimate. People who are consistently liked are often skilled validators. They don't rush to fix, explain, or minimize. They can sit with someone's pain without needing to resolve it. Being with someone in their difficulty creates bonds that good times alone cannot forge. Your willingness to be influenced, to actually change your mind based on new information or others' perspectives, paradoxically increases your influence with others. A 2024 study on persuasion found that people who demonstrated intellectual flexibility, who could say, "You're right, I hadn't considered that," were rated as both more likable and more credible than those who stubbornly defended every position. Rigidity signals insecurity. Flexibility signals confidence and intellectual honesty. People who are genuinely liked don't need to win every discussion. They're secure enough to admit when others have valuable insights, creating collaborative rather than competitive dialogue. Forgiveness. Genuinely releasing resentment after harm. Not just saying the words. Frees both the forgiver and the forgiven from being trapped in past injury. Forgiveness research through 2025 consistently shows health benefits for the forgiver: lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, better sleep. But forgiveness also benefits relationships when paired with genuine accountability. People who are liked over long periods can both forgive others and accept forgiveness gracefully. They don't weaponize past mistakes or keep score. They understand that everyone, including themselves, will fail sometimes. Grudges kept are walls built. Forgiveness offered, when safe to do so, is bridges maintained. Curiosity about others' experiences, beliefs, and perspectives creates connection more effectively than finding commonality. A 2024 study found that questions expressing genuine curiosity increased likability more than statements highlighting similarities. Tell me more about that bonds more deeply than me too. Curiosity signals that you find the other person intrinsically interesting, not just useful for validation. People who are instantly and lastingly liked ask thoughtful questions and actually listen to answers. They demonstrate what poet William Butler Yeats described as being bent double with curiosity. Genuinely fascinated by the infinite variety of human experience. Your pattern of attention, what you notice and comment on, shapes the reality you co-create in relationships. Research from 2025 tracking couple interactions found that partners who regularly noticed and appreciated small positives reported much higher relationship satisfaction than those who only commented on problems. This attention architecture creates self-fulfilling prophecies when you look for goodness. You find it and reinforce it through acknowledgement. People who are consistently liked often serve as positive attention architects. They catch others doing things right, Notice effort even when results fall short, and reflect back strengths others might not see in themselves. Your attention is a spotlight. What you illuminate grows. Humility, accurate self-assessment without false modesty or arrogance, increases likability across cultures. A 2024 cross-cultural study found that intellectual humility, the recognition that your beliefs might be wrong, was universally associated with positive social perception. Humble people aren't weak or self-deprecating. They're simply realistic about their limitations and genuinely interested in learning. They can acknowledge expertise without condescension and admit ignorance without shame. People who are consistently liked often possess this balanced humility. They're confident in their strengths, but never claim to have all answers. This creates space for mutual learning rather than competitive hierarchy. Your reaction to others' good news. What psychologist Shelley Gable calls active, constructive responding strongly predicts relationship quality. Research through 2025 identified 4 response patterns: active, constructive, enthusiastic engagement, passive constructive, quiet support, active destructive, pointing out problems, and passive destructive, ignoring the news. Only active constructive responding, asking questions, showing genuine excitement, exploring the positive experience in detail, strengthened bonds. People who are deeply liked demonstrate consistent, active, constructive responding. They celebrate others' wins as if they were their own. This generosity of spirit creates reciprocal positivity, where everyone's successes become shared victories. Joy multiplies when genuinely shared. Reliability, doing what you say you'll do, showing up when expected, following through on commitments, builds trust more than dramatic gestures or perfect understanding. A 2024 longitudinal study found that small, consistent reliability was a stronger predictor of relationship longevity than compatibility or chemistry. People who are liked over time are those you can count on. They don't promise the moon and deliver nothing. They promise modestly and over-deliver slightly. They show up, not perfectly, but persistently. In a world of flakiness and ghosting, simple reliability has become a rare and precious quality that makes people feel valued and safe. Gratitude, expression, specifically articulating what you appreciate and why, strengthens relationships by making others feel seen and valued. Research from 2025 using daily gratitude interventions found that relationships where gratitude was expressed regularly, with specificity, were rated significantly higher in satisfaction. Generic thanks helps. Specific, I really appreciated how you listened without interrupting when I was upset. It made me feel heard. Transforms. People who are consistently liked express gratitude frequently and specifically. They notice the small kindnesses others offer and reflect that noticing back. Being appreciated is one of the deepest human desires. Offering genuine appreciation is one of the greatest gifts. We've reached the heart of our journey, and the pattern is unmistakable. People who are instantly and lastingly liked aren't superhuman. They're simply individuals who've developed the capacity to make others feel safe, seen, valued, and understood. These aren't personality traits you either have or don't. They're skills built through intention, practice, and often hard-won personal growth. The neuroscience reveals that likability lives in the space between people, in the nervous system regulation that happens when one calm presence helps another nervous system settle. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, authentic, and kind. That's actually enough. Patience with others' growth process. Allowing people to change at their own pace without pushing. Demonstrates respect and creates safety. A 2024 study on personal change found that support paired with patience was far more effective than advice or pressure. People who are liked long-term understand that everyone is on their own timeline. They don't rush loved ones through grief, healing, or growth. They trust the process and the person. This patience comes from understanding that you can't force a flower to bloom faster by pulling on its petals. Growth happens in its own time, and presence matters more than acceleration. Your capacity for joy, not just happiness in response to positive events, but baseline capacity to experience delight, influences how energizing others find your presence. Research from 2025 measuring emotional baselines found that people with higher baseline joy had larger, more stable social networks. This isn't about forced positivity or denying pain. It's about finding genuine moments of beauty, humor, or wonder even in difficult times. People who are consistently liked often possess this quality. They can find something to appreciate, something to smile about, something worth noticing. Their joy arises naturally from engaging fully with life, not from perfect circumstances. Accepting influence from children, pets, or those with less power demonstrates respect beyond hierarchy. A 2024 study on power dynamics found that people who could be influenced by those beneath them in social or professional hierarchies were rated as more likable and trustworthy. Listening to a child's perspective, adjusting your behavior based on a pet's needs, or implementing a junior colleague's suggestion signals that status doesn't determine whose input matters. People who are genuinely liked treat all beings with basic dignity. They don't reserve respect for those who can benefit them. Character isn't what you do for those above you. It's what you do for those who can't repay you. Your response to others' ambivalence, whether you pressure them for clarity or allow their uncertainty to exist, affects how safe they feel being honest with you. Research from 2025 found that people comfortable with others' mixed feelings were better listeners and more trusted confidants. They could hear someone say, "I don't know how I feel about this," without rushing to conclusions, advice, or reassurance. People who are deeply liked can sit in the messy middle with others, holding space for unresolved feelings and unclear situations. They understand that not everything needs immediate resolution. Sometimes people need someone to be confused alongside them, not someone to eliminate the confusion. Secure attachment in friendships, feeling confident the relationship can withstand distance, disagreement, or life changes, creates the relaxation necessary for genuine intimacy. Research published in 2024 tracking friendship stability found that securely attached friends could go weeks without contact, without anxiety, trusted the relationship's resilience during conflict, and believed in mutual commitment. People who create this security don't require constant reassurance or performance. They trust that love doesn't evaporate with distance or difficulty. In their presence, others relax out of performance mode into authentic presence. You don't have to work so hard to maintain connection. You can simply exist together, securely tethered even when apart. your default assumption about others' intentions, whether you assume good faith or suspect manipulation, creates dramatically different relationship dynamics. A 2025 study on interpretive charity found that people who assumed positive intent until proven otherwise had more satisfying relationships and were rated as more likable. This isn't naivety. It's choosing interpretation that maintains connection. When someone cancels plans, assuming they're avoiding you creates resentment. Assuming they're genuinely overwhelmed creates compassion. People who are consistently liked practice interpretive generosity. They give others the benefit of the doubt, understanding that everyone is fighting battles others can't see. Charity in interpretation creates space for human imperfection. Self-compassion. Treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend, paradoxically, makes you more compassionate toward others. Research from 2024 found that people with higher self-compassion were less judgmental, more patient, and better at maintaining boundaries without guilt. They could acknowledge their own struggles without shame, which allowed them to extend that same grace to others. People who are genuinely liked often possess strong self-compassion. They don't operate from self-hatred, poorly masked as humility. They're genuinely okay with their imperfect humanity, which allows yours to be okay too. Permission for imperfection creates the safety necessary for authentic connection. Presence during difficult conversations. Maintaining connection when topics turn uncomfortable. Distinguishes superficial relationships from deep ones. A 2025 study found that people who could stay emotionally present during conflict, sadness, or anxiety were rated significantly higher in trustworthiness and likability. Many people are great company during good times. Fewer can remain steady during storms. People who are loved long-term don't abandon ship when waters get rough. They stay in the boat, even when scared. This doesn't mean fixing or preventing discomfort. It means not leaving someone alone in theirs. Presence during pain creates bonds that pleasant conversation never could. The quality of your internal dialogue, how you speak to yourself in your own mind, eventually manifests in how you treat others. Research from 2024 using internal speech monitoring found strong correlation between self-talk tone and interpersonal communication style. People with harsh, critical internal voices struggled with interpersonal warmth. Those with gentle, supportive self-talk naturally extended that same tone to others. People who are deeply liked often have kind internal voices. They've learned to speak gently to themselves, and the gentleness overflows to everyone around them. How you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you and shows them how you'll treat them. So yes, instant likability reveals itself not as mysterious charisma, but as the natural result of nervous system regulation, emotional intelligence, and genuine care practiced over time. The research shows that people who are consistently, deeply liked have often done significant personal work, therapy, meditation, healing attachment wounds, learning communication skills. They're not naturally gifted with charm. They've built the capacity for authentic connection through intentional development. This is profoundly good news if likability required innate talent. Most people would be stuck. But since it requires learnable skills, anyone willing to do the internal work can become someone others feel safe approaching, trusting, and loving. Character is cultivated, not inherited. You might be feeling tired now. That's perfectly fine. exactly as it should be. Breathe slowly and feel the cycles within you and around you. Your heart beats in rhythm, roughly 60 to 80 times per minute, a drum that never stops from before birth until final breath. Your lungs expand and contract, breath after breath. Oxygen flowing in, carbon dioxide flowing out, an exchange with the world that sustains you. The earth rotates beneath you. The moon pulls the tides. Seasons cycle through birth, growth, death, and rebirth. Your own life moves through cycles, waking and sleeping, hunger and satisfaction, solitude and connection, difficulty and ease, like planets rotating in their orbits, unhurried, unresisting, simply existing in their perfect paths. You too are part of these eternal movements. You don't need to force anything. Let everything unfold in its perfect order, like a river finding its way to the ocean without effort or doubt. Simply following gravity home. We're almost there now. Being human means carrying contradictions, strong and scared, confident and uncertain, knowing and confused. People who are genuinely loved allow others to see these paradoxes without needing to resolve them into false consistency. They can be ambitious and content, independent and needy, brave and afraid, all at once. This wholeness, with its internal contradictions left intact, gives others permission to be equally complex. You don't have to choose one version of yourself and perform it perfectly. You can simply be all of yourself, messy and multifaceted, and trust that your wholeness itself is lovable. Loneliness and connection exist on a continuum, not as opposites. Research from 2025 found that people who felt most connected still experienced loneliness sometimes. People who felt chronically lonely still had moments of profound connection. People who are deeply liked understand this truth. They don't promise to eliminate loneliness or provide constant connection. They simply offer presence when together and trust when apart. They know connection isn't about never feeling alone. It's about knowing aloneness is temporary, not permanent. Loneliness becomes bearable when you trust connection will return. Being liked doesn't mean being perfect or never making mistakes. It means being real, including your flaws, and trusting that your imperfect humanity is enough. People who are consistently loved have usually stopped performing perfection and started offering authenticity. They've learned that pretending to have everything together creates distance. Admitting you're figuring it out creates connection. Others relax around those who don't claim to be more than human. Perfection is intimidating. Humanity is inviting. Your flaws aren't obstacles to connection. They're invitations to it. The deepest connections often form not during peak experiences but during ordinary moments. Washing dishes together, sitting in comfortable silence, running mundane errands side by side. A 2024 study found that relationship satisfaction correlated more strongly with pleasant, mundane time than with exciting adventures. People who are loved long-term understand that most of life is ordinary, and finding joy in simple togetherness matters more than creating Instagram-worthy memories. The magic isn't in the extraordinary experiences you share. It's in making ordinary experiences feel special by sharing them. Aging changes relationships. Energy decreases. Memory fades. Bodies slow down. But connection can deepen. even as capabilities decline. Research on long-term relationships found that partners who maintained affection and respect through aging changes reported highest life satisfaction. People who are loved into old age adapt their expression of care as abilities shift. They find new ways to show up as old ways become impossible. Love isn't bound to specific capacities. It finds new channels when old ones close. Water flowing around obstacles, always finding a way. Cultural differences in communication style, emotional expression, and relationship norms create both challenges and richness in diverse connections. People who are liked across cultural boundaries demonstrate cultural humility. They don't assume their way is universal. They stay curious about differences without judgment. They can say, in my culture, we do X, but I'd love to understand how it works in yours. This creates bridges where rigid cultural certainty builds walls. Difference doesn't prevent connection. Rigid attachment to sameness does. Curiosity allows love to cross borders. Mental health struggles, depression, anxiety, trauma don't make someone unworthy of connection, but they do require honest communication about needs and capacity. People who are loved through mental health challenges have usually learned to communicate boundaries, ask for what they need, and take responsibility for their well-being while allowing others to support them. They don't make loved ones their therapists, but don't hide their humanity either. Vulnerability about struggle, paired with responsibility for managing it, creates sustainable support, physical affection, hugs, hand-holding, gentle touch, meets fundamental human needs for safe contact. Research from 2025 found that people touch-deprived experienced higher anxiety, worse sleep, and lower immune function. People who are deeply loved often freely offer safe physical affection when appropriate. They understand that bodies need contact, that skin hunger is real, that sometimes a hug communicates care more effectively than 1,000 words. Touch, when wanted and appropriate, speaks directly to the nervous system in a language older than words. Being liked doesn't protect you from loss, betrayal, disappointment, or heartbreak. It simply means you had connection worth losing. People who love deeply also grieve deeply. And that's not a design flaw. It's evidence that something mattered. Those who are consistently loved don't avoid vulnerability to prevent pain. They embrace vulnerability, knowing pain is the price of love. They'd rather feel everything, including loss, than feel nothing. The capacity to hurt is the capacity to love. Two sides of one coin. Your family of origin shaped your attachment patterns, communication style, and relationship expectations, but it doesn't dictate your relational future. People who create secure adult relationships despite insecure childhoods have usually done deliberate work to heal old wounds and build new patterns. They've learned that past doesn't determine present, that inherited patterns can be changed, that new experiences can rewire old neural pathways. You're not trapped by how love was or wasn't shown to you as a child. You can learn different. You can become different. Power differences in relationships. Employer-employee. Teacher-student. Parent-child. Require careful navigation to maintain ethical boundaries while expressing care. People who are loved across power differentials demonstrate that care doesn't require exploitation, that mentorship can be genuine without becoming inappropriate. They maintain clear boundaries while showing warmth. They recognize that power creates responsibility. The person with more power must protect the person with less, never using their position for personal emotional needs. Ethical love respects the power dynamics it navigates. Online connection, through text, video calls, or social media, creates real relationships, even without physical presence. Research from 2024 found that digital relationships could be as satisfying and supportive as in-person ones, when communication was consistent and authentic. People who maintain deep long-distance friendships have learned that presence isn't about physical proximity. It's about consistent attention, emotional availability, and genuine care expressed through whatever medium connects you. Distance tests love, but doesn't determine it. Being liked by everyone is impossible and undesirable. Trying to appeal to all people requires abandoning authentic self-expression. People who are deeply loved by some have usually accepted they won't be liked by everyone. They've made peace with the truth that their specific flavor of humanity will resonate with some and repel others. This is natural, healthy, and exactly as it should be. Not everyone will like you, and that's how you know you're being yourself, rather than a crowd-pleasing performance. Seasonal changes in mood, energy, and social capacity are normal. Winter often brings withdrawal. Summer brings expansion. People who are loved consistently understand that relationship needs fluctuate with internal and external seasons. They don't take temporary distance personally. They trust that connection ebbs and flows like breath, like tides, like all living things. Sometimes you need solitude. Sometimes you need community. Both are valid. True connection allows for natural rhythm rather than demanding constant intensity. So, could understanding these psychological patterns change how others respond to you? It already has. Simply through paying attention. By listening this far, considering these ideas, examining your own patterns, you've started the process of becoming more conscious in relationships. Consciousness itself changes behavior. Awareness creates choice where before there was only automatic reaction. You can't unknow what you now know about connection, and that knowledge will subtly shift how you show up in every interaction going forward. Learning about likability makes you more intentionally likable. Children teach us about connection, their unguarded joy, their present moment awareness, their capacity for wonder. People who are deeply loved often maintain some childlike qualities: playfulness, curiosity, enthusiasm, the ability to find magic in small things. They've grown up without growing cold. They've gained wisdom without losing wonder. They can be responsible adults who still laugh freely, dream wildly, and approach the world with open-hearted curiosity rather than defended cynicism. Maturity includes innocence, not excludes it. Animals offer connection without words, presence, affection, non-judgmental companionship. Research from 2025 found that people with pets reported feeling less lonely and more socially connected overall. Animals meet fundamental needs for touch, routine, caregiving, and being needed. People who love deeply often extend that capacity to non-human creatures, recognizing that connection isn't limited to human-to-human bonds. Sometimes a dog's excitement when you come home, or a cat purring in your lap, speaks love more clearly than human words. Forgiveness of self is often harder than forgiving others. People who are deeply loved have usually learned to forgive themselves for past mistakes, missed opportunities, and moments of failure. They've accepted that they did the best they could with the awareness and resources they had at the time. This self-forgiveness isn't excusing harmful behavior. It's releasing the burden of perpetual self-punishment. You can acknowledge harm caused while recognizing that continued self-hatred doesn't help anyone. Purpose and meaning in life often emerge through connection and contribution, rather than through individual achievement. Research from 2024 found that people who reported highest life meaning were those engaged in relationships and activities that served others. People who are deeply loved often give love freely. They mentor, teach, support, encourage, simply because connection itself feels meaningful. Purpose isn't something you find alone. It's something you create together, through how you show up for each other. Hope for connection survives even after profound disappointment, betrayal, or loss. The human capacity to trust again, love again, open again after being hurt is remarkable evidence of resilience. People who love deeply despite past wounds have accessed extraordinary courage. They've chosen to remain open in a world that sometimes validates closing down. This isn't naivety. It's brave realism. Yes, love risks pain. Yes, it's still worth it. The alternative to vulnerable connection is defended isolation, a different kind of pain. Longer lasting, communities form around shared values, experiences, or identities, creating belonging beyond individual relationships. People who are deeply connected often belong to communities, religious, hobby-based, identity-based, location-based, where they experience collective support and shared meaning. You're not just individual to individual. You're held in wider webs of connection. When individual relationships end, communities remain. When you feel alone in relationship, community reminds you of broader belonging. Humans are pack animals. We need our people. Plural. Death ends relationships, but doesn't erase their meaning or impact. People who have loved and lost carry forward the influence of those connections. Lessons learned. Love internalized. Ways of being that were shaped through relationship. Those who have died remain alive in how they changed you, what they taught you, who you became through knowing them. Love transcends its own ending. Connection leaves permanent traces in neural pathways, in character, in how you move through the world. Being human means needing others and simultaneously fearing that need. We want connection desperately while protecting ourselves from its potential pain. People who are genuinely loved have made peace with this paradox. They need and allow themselves to need. While knowing need doesn't guarantee fulfillment, they've accepted that wanting connection makes them vulnerable. And vulnerability is simply the price of being alive, awake, and open. Needing isn't weakness. It's humanity. Present moment awareness. Actually being here now rather than lost in past or future, allows connection to deepen. When you're fully present with someone, they feel it through hundreds of microsignals. People who are deeply loved practice presence not as a technique but as a way of being. They've learned that the only moment you can actually love someone is this one. Past and future love are memories and hopes. Presence is love's only home. The real answer to why people instantly like you isn't in your behaviors, words, or appearance. It's in your being. When your nervous system broadcasts safety, when your presence invites authenticity, when your energy creates space for others to exist fully. People respond not to what you do, but to who you are. And who you are is always in process, always evolving, always capable of becoming more secure, more open, more genuinely yourself, which is to say, more deeply, authentically human. And so, our quiet journey through the invisible architecture of human connection comes to a gentle close. We've traveled from the 3-second window where brains decide trustworthiness, to the biochemical bonding loops that happen beneath awareness, discovering along the way that likability isn't mysterious magic. It's the language of nervous systems, emotional attunement, and authentic presence practiced over time. From mirror neurons firing in silent recognition to oxytocin creating chemical bridges between souls, we've glimpsed how connection is both deeply biological and profoundly spiritual, both ancient and immediate, both simple and infinitely complex. These patterns of likability remind us that we are fundamentally social creatures, wired for connection from birth until death. Much of what determines whether we feel instantly drawn to someone happens in silence, beneath conscious awareness, in the ancient brain structures that evolved to keep us alive by quickly distinguishing safe from threatening. Without these rapid, unconscious assessments, every interaction would require exhausting deliberation. By trusting our body's wisdom while developing conscious skills, we glimpse the extraordinary dance of being human together, part instinct, part choice, all beautiful. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about the unity of all consciousness. Yours, mine, everyone listening, all awareness everywhere. Perhaps connected in ways we don't yet understand, through networks we're only beginning to map. Every person you've ever instantly liked, every stranger whose presence felt inexplicably safe, every soul you've recognized without introduction, all responding to signals older than language, deeper than thought. You are not alone in the universe of minds. You're part of the vast web of human consciousness. 7 billion nervous systems signaling to each other constantly, I see you. I feel you. You're safe here. Let your entire being dissolve into that ocean of shared consciousness, into dreamless rest, into the space before thought begins and after it ends. Prepare for sleep. No boundaries left between self and rest. Only peace unfolding, infinite and gentle. If this thoughtful exploration of connection helped you understand yourself or others tonight, a gentle like and subscribe helps other seekers discover this peaceful space. It might be exactly what another searching mind needs to feel less alone in their questions about belonging. One quiet tap, one sleepy soul at a time. But there's no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, exploring the invisible threads that bind human to human, nervous system to nervous system, heart to heart. You can allow these thoughts about connection to fade now, like morning mist dissolving under gentle sun, leaving only warm calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if gravity itself is gently pulling you down through the mattress, through the floor, toward the earth's core, where everything eventually returns. If sleep comes, let it carry you like a leaf floating on a stream, smoothly, inevitably, into a realm where likability and loneliness, connection, and solitude, self and other, all dissolve into the same peaceful darkness. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm, where you don't have to be likable or liked, where you can simply be consciousness resting in its own nature. Tomorrow, these patterns will still be there. Humans will still be reading each other's nervous systems, still deciding who feels safe in 0.3 of a second, still seeking connection while protecting themselves from pain. But tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, quiet soul, and remember, you don't have to earn love through perfect behavior. You simply have to be present, authentic, and kind. That's actually enough. It always has been. Fall asleep to gentle psychology where mind meets rest. Good night.